What's up, YouTube? Happy Horror Thursday. The weather is fine and great here and wonderful. I woke up with all this energy. Was a little chilly last night, like it was wintertime again. Come on, Mother Nature. What up with the real deal weather? We had enough of this nonsense. But anywho, the other night I did a video on the last of the real Friday the 13th Part 4. I winded up posting it. I got up the next morning. It was just too much blue in there. So I think now I'm going to do the majority until I get my lighting, whenever it comes in the mail, eBay. I'll probably start doing more videos in the daytime so I got the proper light. So everybody, my viewers, can see everything clearer. Thank you for the patience with it. So yeah, I was doing a video on the last of the real Friday the 13th. The final chapter, starring Corey Feldman. And I'll tell you why I call it the last of the real. Friday the 13th final chapter, for me, is the last of the real. I was introduced originally to Friday the 13th. The original movie, roughly in the early 80s, I was at my father's house for the weekend. And one night I had all this energy. And it was late, and he was like, I'm going to put on a horror movie for this kid. So he put a horror movie, looking on the channels, and he came across Friday the 13th. See, back then in the 80s, it was cool because late night came, you didn't want to go to sleep, because that's when the good movies come on. HBO, Showtime always had the greatest horror movies, which what we call today classic, and also in the media selling world, we call them rare finds, just straight treasure of horror goodness in these 80s films. So yeah, from the first one, when I was introduced to that, I was sold as a horror slasher fan, especially for Friday the 13th, which is my favorite slasher series. Jason's my favorite horror slasher killer, so to speak, because he's just so dang good at it. So, but me up to 1, 2, and 3, I was like, man, these are wonderful. And then 4 came, I was like, yes. It's still following the gritty tone, the way it was filmed, the way it was directed, the great and better special effects as opposed to what we have these days. There's too much blue screen, too much, the blood is too watery. Lighten up on the water, huh? But the 80s classics, and even the mid-late 70s classics had the natural atmosphere to it of a real killer stalking teenagers in the night. So from 1, 2, and 3 to 4, Friday the 13th, the final chapter for me, for myself, as a fan, in my opinion, the Friday the 13th series, the wide span of it is, this was the last classic 80s style, directed and gritty and horror in the woods feel when you're camping to it. We jumped over to 5, Friday the 13th New Beginning, and they went with the storyline of Copycat, which the Copycat for me in the New Beginning, I mean, it's a great story for itself. There are there's scenes in part 5 that do reflect from the original Friday the 13th as far as 1 through 4. The filming, the special effects, the blood. But you could tell it was changing and going to a different direction from what 1, 2, and 3, 4 was. Almost consistent in the sense of what the storyline is and the grittiness of the filming. And then we get to part 6. Boom, right dead smack in the middle days. The birth. We get Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, with the greatest soundtrack I next to Maximum Overdrive. Friday the 13th, Jason Lives soundtrack, Alice Cooper. Nailed it. And I believe he nailed it because he's also a huge horror fan himself. they started going to more of a corny based dialogue. They try to go with a gritty, dark look into the woods, and when Jason's creeping around with the different tone of the Friday 13th instrumental playing through it, especially when Jason's coming up on a mug in a tent. They made it too bright and sugary. You know, it was just like, and then we got to Friday 13th Part 7. It was the New Blood. I love that movie. For me, it's a great standalone, somebody's personal opinion on how they wanted to film a Friday the 13th, but it's awesome. Jason's hanging from the chain in the house. The mask breaks off. Because she's got these powers, it splits the mask off. And that's what I mean. The original 4 Friday the 13th, you wouldn't have a psychic girl with these powers and stuff like that. That's what I mean. It's so... Let me get back to the task at hand. The Friday the 13th final chapter. The last of the real Friday the 13th films. There are some good ones that came afterwards, but as far as like the gritty 70s and 80s horror movie and slasher film quality to it. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on all day about Friday the 13th. I'll do a couple more videos and a few other movies as far as my opinions, my thoughts on Kane Hodder, and as far as his role as Jason and his role as Hatchet. Which he's a great character actor in that sense. He came a long way. He did more. Kane Hodder did more with his opportunity when he started playing Jason to span off and actually become a star from that. Not just some guy behind the mask and he's back and stuff. But anywho, yeah, that's another long discussion in Kane Hodder. But I will do a video on it. So yeah, Friday the 13th final chapter. The last of the real old school ways of filming and directing, and blood and gore and hatchet and chopping up in the tent. Thinking you're gonna roast that marshmallow, but you get roasted yourself type feeling. You know what I'm saying. The shower scene in that movie, oh man, he crushes the dude's face. If you haven't seen it, I'm not worried about spoilers, because you're going to enjoy it anyway. But check out Corey Feldman, little Corey Feldman. He's the bomb in that movie. And he goes head up with Jason at the end, and that's all I'm saying for those who haven't seen this classic, last of the real Friday the 13th. Now, on that note, I gotta go and enjoy the rest of my Horror Thursday in this weather. I gotta do some yard work. But yeah, gotta keep myself busy. I can't watch horror movies all day. Thanks again for viewing my content. Feel free to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit those notification buttons, because I got some more Friday the 13th videos coming up. And I'll probably do a longer video on the Kane Hodder, where he started, where he's at, what he's doing now type thing for 2023. And I'm not going to wait too long to do that video. I'm going to have a Friday the 13th marathon in a day or two. And I think right around there in between the marathon, I'm going to do a couple of videos instead of just the Kane Hodder. But anywho, have a great and wonderful Horror Thursday. I'll catch you later with some more videos. Peace.